Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIFBALL Podcast, powered by Temple Sports and AdCraft, custom apparel and merch. Your merch and apparel expert since 1974. Tonight, we have for you Coach Phil Kleckler, head coach of the Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Well, Coach, it's another successful season for Lindsey Wilson. You know, obviously you don't get all the way to the national title game, and I know that's kind of the standard now for Lindsey is to get far in the playoffs and to have a shot at winning the title. But it's still a good season. One of the things I'm curious about, I mean, you'd been around the Lindsey program a while before taking over as head man, but really, what surprised you the most about stepping into the head coach role?
Probably just just everything within the program is going to come across your desk. And you know, when I was the assistant head coach and the defensive coordinator, it was mostly the defensive things and recruiting and what you're kind of responsible for, and the defensive coaches you work with and position coaches. But you know, in terms of different things from across campus or different events or anything else like that, it was always coming kind of funneled through the head coach if he needs you to take care of something where, you know, now you're the first point of contact. So that was probably the biggest change of just learning that process a little bit.
Coach, last year you play a couple quarterbacks kind of throughout the year, whether it be Ethan Cash or Will McDonald. Talk to me about trying to find the right guy at quarterback kind of on the fly during the season.
Yeah, it was, we were fortunate enough to have, an all-time great quarterback in the NAI level and probably in our school's history. And, there's actually going to be some big news coming out about Cameron Dukes later this week when it's official.
All right.
But, it's always difficult to, find when any team loses a starting quarterback. There's always going to be, you don't want to say the word growing pains, but there's a learning process for any player when they step into a starting role, whether it's a linebacker or a defensive lineman, offensive lineman. It just so happens that, everybody's aware of who the quarterback is on the field, and they can look at that position and say, well, yeah, he's not quite what the last guy was or anything like that. But Cameron Dukes went through that process in 2018, and he followed up a pretty good quarterback and grew tremendously in the 2019 season, the 2020 season, 2021, and then on. So, it was a little bit of a feeling out process for us this year. And like you said, we had two guys that have been in our program for a long time and, had gotten some game experience the year prior. And we made a decision coming out of training camp that we thought was best for our team. And then, made a decision in the bye week to make a change and kind of go with who we felt was best for our team at that time as well. And so, both those guys are still on our roster, and we're looking forward to having a great spring practice with them. And again, it's an evaluation process, and we'll decide who we think our quarterback's going to be here to start the 2023 season.
Imagine it's hard, especially with quarterback in this day and age, to everyone wants a quarterback battle because competition obviously is good for your program. It doesn't matter if it's quarterback or long snapper. But quarterback is such a high profile position that it seems in a lot of these places where we're seeing quarterback battles that the guy who loses is just taken on down the road, and I just don't see that as being good long term for programs to constantly be trying to filter through backups.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that it really depends on the situations within those programs, and maybe even so, you might have a player that maybe is in their last year of eligibility, and then a younger player rises up to the same thing. So I think it's like you said, as coaches, we want to give every player on our roster an opportunity to show us what they can do, and it's more than just what they do on the practice field. It's what they do in the classroom. It's how they act socially, all those different things, and that's what's great about college football is you have a long period of time to evaluate and earn trust with players, and that goes with players from the same point from coaches as well. But then you need to make the decisions on those 10 guaranteed Saturdays that you have in the fall to put the best players on the field that give you a chance to win.
Well, Coach, looking at your schedule from last year, of course, like I said, it was a great season for Lindsey, a one-loss season. You only trip up the once to Bethel of Tennessee there at home. Obviously the Mid-South, even as it's basically pared down to its Kentucky portion, the Bluegrass, to use an older term, it's still a great conference to be in. You still get these great matchups with all of these teams. I don't know that many people will be sad to see Thomas More go, just from a competitive standpoint there, always being a little bit of a pain in the behinds of some of these schools. But talk to me about the development there of the Mid-South.
Yeah, it's a true, it's one of the best conferences in the country, and I know a lot of conferences say that, but it's when you look at the tradition that our programs have and the number of teams that have made the national playoffs over the years, it is truly a one team or one game playoff every single week. It's survive and advance type thing. And we're going to have 2 or 3 teams every year that are in the national playoff talks, and that's not going to change moving forward. And following up on your Thomas More leaving, I mean, I would love for them to stay because now we're at a point where we got to find games, all those different types of things. And I found over the winter and spring here that's a difficult thing to do. Not trying to sound arrogant about our program, but not many people want to willingly sign up to play us. And that's just, I think Georgetown's probably having the same problem. Bethel's having the same problem. And again, that's just how it works now with the number of teams we have in our conference. So hopefully we can continue to grow and make our conference strong. And I know that we're actively looking for schools here in the future to do that with.
That's a fair point. I mean, no one wants to willingly subject themselves. If you're like in the 30 to 36 range of top teams in the NAI, and you know that if you get a loss against even a great team that's going to be a top 10 team or better, that loss is still going to sink you if you do end up losing, and it may not help you as much as you would hope if you won. So I totally get that. And going into that, just talk with me for a minute about that scheduling alliance with the Appalachian Athletic.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from a footprint standpoint. We're near schools. I mean, we're 2 hours from Union. Pikeville now joining the Appalachian. We're 3 hours away again. So it's it's easy to, from a geographical standpoint, play some of those schools. And I think it makes sense for both conferences to do that based on the numbers of each conference to have that agreement. But it leaves both of us, both conferences, looking for that game or two. And I think it is good for the NAI to have non-conference games and kind of judge strength of schedules and all those things. But there's just the margin for error for the national playoffs is so thin, and you're going to play good teams eventually, and you're going to play good teams on your regular conference schedule as well. So it's something that by adding a school or two, we kind of help ourselves with scheduling. And the regional rankings, all those different types of things. Who would have thought that 3 or 4 years ago, the Sun Conference now is going to have 2 national raters, and the MidSouth Conference is only going to have 1. I mean, that's just, so it's funny how things can change like that based on the numbers and how the rules are written.
I'm going to give you a magic wand real quick. And with this magic wand, you can take and create a football program at any of, let's say, the Mid-South teams who don't play football. I don't know if there are any off the top of my head. Southern States, Appalachian Athletic, Sun Conference, any of those teams in the Southeast that don't currently play football. Who are you really hoping picks up a program?
I don't know if I know enough about any of those schools. I know there's a slew of schools in the South here that, obviously the high school football in Georgia and Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, the Carolinas. I mean, it is excellent. And that, I'm a Midwest guy. I come from Illinois and, Indiana and Ohio, all the Wisconsin, they all have good football too. But it's just, it became apparent to me when I started at Lindsey in the recruiting process, just how important athletics were to some schools because of the opportunity that it gives to students to go to college and get their degree, and they might not be afforded to do that without athletics. And so, that's what kind of made why I enjoy my time here at Lindsey and going through that process in the recruiting and talking with families. So I'm an advocate for any of those small schools that are thinking about it. You absolutely should do it. Commit to it. Brings a lot of diversity to your campus. Brings a lot of fun game day atmospheres on Saturday, and brings a lot of fans, a lot of people into your communities in terms of hotel rooms and eating meals and restaurants, all those different types of things. I think Columbia's benefited a lot from Lindsey Wilson adding football, and we've grown. Our town has grown a ton since I even came here since 2017.
Personally, I think the one that I would most want to see would be University of Mobile down in Mobile, Alabama. I think that'd be a great fit for either the Sun or the Appalachian Athletic. Let's get back to your schedule real quick. And one thing I note going up and down and looking at it is while you do have some blowouts on here, absolutely, there's also some closer games, whether they be 8-9 point wins against Campbellsville or Thomas More. You also have some close ones, whether it be the loss to Bethel, the win against Georgetown. How did winning close really prepare you to when it got down to crunch time, especially against a team like Reinhardt in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it was just, we had a tremendous defense on our football team this year, and we dominated in kind of a different way in terms of previous years. We kind of lived on forcing turnovers and giving our offense short fields and all those things. And, we faced a lot of conservative offenses in terms of people saying, hey, don't give the defense that opportunity. And they kind of tried to grind games out and keep things close. And we didn't have the turnovers and things that we want to do on defense, but we found ways to stop people different ways, whether, those by not letting them run the football and playing solid defense and kind of bend but don't break in some standpoints. So it kind of we just molded our mentality and adapted. It's what you have to do with your personnel, and I think it shows how strong our program is, that we can win a game in a variety of ways, and that's a good method to do things from a football standpoint. And ultimately, you don't beat yourself. And we didn't turn the ball over. We didn't give teams short field and special teams play. And a lot of those games where they look close on paper, maybe they really weren't when you look at the stats. And it never felt like the game was in doubt in some instances. I was proud of our football team. We showed a lot of grit, and it was a year of transition, and a lot of us were doing a lot of new things and kind of going on the fly as we attacked the season.
Well, looking at your team coming up in 2023, obviously we've already talked about the quarterback position. You're also returning a pair of wide receivers in Manny Scott and Logan Collier, and Collier was good for a kick return touchdown, so I know he's got a little bit of shiftiness and speed to him. Got to get that. But you do lose a couple of first-team all-conference offensive linemen in Eli Cross and Joe Grissett. Talk to me about continuing to get better on offense and turning kind of the changing of the guard there on offense a little bit.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about kind of the offensive linemen. There was a couple other guys that you did mention that graduated that were kind of namestays on our offense. So I think our offensive line will have some new faces, but we've got some young guys that have been waiting in the wings that are ready to go. And, we're excited about their development here this spring. And, and then our running back position will change a little bit too. It's what I hope we can do is kind of do it by committee and not have, you want to have star players and all that. But again, it's a team game, and it's on offense. It's about taking care of the football and blocking for each other and playing hard every single play and not worrying about who gets the play call. It's about scoring touchdowns and putting points up on the board and playing good football. And I think the group we got here this spring is excited for that opportunity, and we're excited for the future.
That's one of the things that growing up in a household that where my dad was an Alabama fan, that I actually heard that kind of idea a lot, because Alabama's a very old team, but I'm sitting here going, where you don't have all these Heisman Trophy winners like, Army and Navy and Notre Dame do from back in the day. And went, no, that's not how we play. We have this is a team game, son. And so I absolutely understand that from the Bear Bryant, Alabama perspective there and doing it that way. Defensively, you've got a good bit back, whether you've got Theron Orr, Brandon Fields along your defensive line, Darius Heileck at linebacker, DJ Holden in your defensive backfield. But again, you're replacing some mainstays, whether it be Mike Leslie or Luke Bowman, who several coaches looked at me in the eye with a little bit of fear when they talked about Luke Bowman, or Kashawn Beasley in your defensive backfield. Talk to me about your defense and making sure you've got that next man up mentality.
Yeah, I think over the years, what's made us special defensively, it has been by committee, and we've had a lot of talented players. Everybody knew who Luke Bowman was, not because they looked at the stat line and said, "Oh, he's leading the team in tackles," as they turned the film on and they saw how hard he played and the amount of plays he made. So, but we have a group that's ready to go, and we have some guys a guy like Peyton Doles, who missed last season from an injury from the 2021 season, that's going to be back, another all-conference caliber linebacker. And we have some defensive linemen, that was an extremely deep group last year that are back as well that you didn't mention. So, we're going to have the firepower to go make a run at and be a very good defense again. It's just a matter of our guys putting the hard hats on and going to work and doing what we do. And I'm confident that group's going to do that.
Well, Coach, we know that if we're not improving, whether it be in our jobs and for the kids on the football team and in their weights, in their performance on and off the field, if you're not improving there, life's going to be pulling you backwards. It is a bit of a treadmill. You're always going backwards if you're not improving. So what area of your program are y'all focusing on most, either on or off the field, and improving in 2023?
I think that's a really good question. I think we've developed some standards here in our program over the year, and again, it's a mantra that we go by, the 1-0 mantra, and that's, when you look at it from the outside looking in, it's like, well, it means winning games on Saturday, and that is what it means from the beginning of it. But going 1-0 is about being the best you can be, whatever you're doing in that given moment. So whether you're sitting in that 8 a.m. class and you're not really all that excited about being there, but again, it's sitting in those first couple rows and putting your hood down and not having earphones in and all those different types of things, and trying to be the best you can in that given moment. And if you do that 355 days a year, then those 10 guaranteed Saturdays will take care of themselves. And so, we have that mantra in our program, and our guys believe in it, and they eat, sleep, and do it. And it's not going to change with the group we have now. And we've learned here that we're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, and we get everybody's best shot. And again, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. It's just the nature of our program and the expectations and the standards we have set. And it's playing in our conference. It's everybody knows about everybody, and it's you got to buckle it up and go. And we're excited for 2023 and continuing to be the best football team we can be, the best program we can be.
I think Dizzy Dean sums it up best on where you're not sounding arrogant, but I think Dizzy Dean summed it up best. It ain't bragging if you can do it. So, all right, Coach. Well, again, thanks for coming on tonight to the NAIAFBALL Podcast. Spring is kicking off. Different times for different places, but we're getting close to getting it in everywhere, and it's good to have some football, be able to think about it and ponder it for a minute before the summer gets here. But before you know it, it's going to be fall, and we're going to be right back to thumping and seeing who's going to hoist that red banner.
Yeah, it's the winter months are, once you get through the holidays and then you get back and start your semester, it's about the weight room and the mat drills and getting back in shape. And some guys, it's just they get done playing their season and they're beat up and they need to take some time off. You preach about working out a little bit, but a lot of them kind of will, but they maybe aren't going to push it as hard as what they need to, and it's okay. Again, you're 9 months from your season, and you got to give your body some time for some active rest. And it's okay in winter break just to go play basketball at the YMCA and the pickup games rather than go pump those weights. And that there's healthy things with all of that. But then once you get going, it's doing those things as a team, and it's fun to kind of create your identity for that season and your story. And we've been doing that, and we got done with our workouts, and we're on spring break this week, and then we're going to be getting after it when we get back. So really exciting time, and it's even fun now just with the XFL going on and the spring football there. It kind of keep those juices going, and you create some ideas. You see some stuff, you're like, oh, that's pretty good. We could maybe do that. I think football year round is probably here to stay. And, I'm excited that our level embraces the spring practices and the development, because it really is about, individual development and then the team development as you move into the 2023 season.
Absolutely. And oh man, y'all still do mat drills. I love that. That's old school right there. I love it. And, growing up in the Florida Panhandle, growing up a Florida State fan, I have heard players talk about mat drills from Florida State, and that sends shivers down their spine every time they think about it. It's like a little PTSD. I know y'all's probably isn't that crazy, but I love the old school mat drill.
Yeah, it's just it's part of football. It's the DNA of football. You can change playing rules and all that type of stuff, but I don't think they're ever going to be able to take that type of atmosphere and team building away from a football program anymore. At least I hope not. So
not either.
Yeah, we're I think a lot of programs are still doing it.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we do look forward to seeing the MidSouth this fall. It's going to be it's going to be great. I mean, we've got obviously three front runners, and then you never know what Cumberland's is going to do. Bring in a second-year head coach just like yourself, and there's just a ton of teams that are looking to get into that front runner spot. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's there's I think every team has a chance to make a run at it, and even with the coaching change at Campbellsville, we'll probably jolt some energy into that program as well. I think everybody's got a great chance to win our league, and that's what you want.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAFBALL Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.